Yeah, click it on.
What's on the screen?
I don't know. What is on the screen?
I don't know. All right, I'll click it off.
Okay.
I'm back on.
Oh.
You come up with the idea. You construct it, put it together, and then you get it to work. So we're kind of getting to the end of putting it together. Welcome back to the build series, to episode 120. We are not in the build tent this evening. We are doing a Q&A for you guys. So we're trying to answer and clear the air on some questions, some common questions that have been popping up. So we'll fire straight in to the questions. There you go.
Let's have a look. 120 weeks into the build.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing, to be honest. There's quite a few questions which we're just going to sort of run through. There's a few just sort of comments on the fly which are interesting. There's quite a few people giving some really handy tips as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've got a gentleman who's we're going to shout him out. It's Yoshioka. He's been leaving some quite interesting kind of info and questions. The first one was giving you a tip. So he's saying, I think he's referring to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
He's saying to make it easily detachable, just buy e-bike connection cables. They cost about €5 and you can have up to 12 pins. They're waterproof and they look neat. No need to solder.
Yeah, I think he should have told me that before I started. Because, I got the DC Electronics 12 core from Demon Tweaks. And, it's not hard to install, but I think for reliability, his option looks a lot better. So if I start using the car and it's not reliable, then I might look at going down that road. Any link would be very appreciative.
There we go. So we'll ask Yoshioka to leave a link, and that's obviously what he's referring to there. You were talking. This was about 3 weeks ago. The episode was you removing your steering wheel and obviously having the electrics detachable as well. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So obviously you can do it wirelessly at a lot more expense, or you can do it the old way, which is wired. And I basically used weld-on 90-degree terminals on the back of the pins on the buttons, which that is the weakest part. So with a lot of movement and shaking around it, they could come off. So we'll see.
Good, excellent. Excuse me, just scrolling through the phone here. That's where we got all the questions. So I'm not on Minecraft or anything. This is where I'm looking at the comments. A comment from Marco Mazzo just saying, keep going. It's the most underrated series on YouTube, which is nice. Nice to say in passing. Someone called Uncreative has popped by and said, this thing looks incredible. I love the idea in the project and can't wait to see it on the street and the track.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thomas Groves says, what a headache. Fair play, Tal. Definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And then a gentleman, I think he actually pops up a couple of times on here, so you'll probably hear from him again. It's Mr. Millwood. He asked, why have you used plastic as a footrest / guard for the ECU rather than aluminium? Isn't the ECU a little bit exposed in that position in the footwell?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It is exposed. It's where I think another viewer, PS, did comment saying
that's right,
where it is located as standard on the Subaru, which is in the footwell under a lot of carpet. But I will protect it more, so it'll be boxed in behind the footrest itself, and made sure obviously it's weather sealed from the bulkhead above that. Was that a question about the footrest as well?
Yeah, it was. So basically, as you said,
what?
PS just mentions that is actually where it is, even though it's exposed.
And the material I used, cost really. I mean, I got a load of free polycarbonate from a good friend, Ali. So I probably shouldn't mention his name. So that's why I'm utilising it. It is very, very strong. I may as well just answer this part now. the way I'm building the car is there's two ways to do it. You can over-engineer it, so you can make everything super strong, super heavy, and know it's not going to break. Or you can under-engineer it and then see what breaks and then upgrade that. So that's I under-engineer it, and if it breaks, then I change the plan. But to me, I think it's going to be strong enough. There's plenty of flexing it. So anybody's foot on it is just going to bend rather than shear or, break something else.
Yeah, okay. So Trevor Woods, he's dropped by and he said, I'm going to read the whole thing, just so you can sort of get to grips with what he's saying. So he says, I'm sorry, but this build is never going to be a rally car. It will never hold together. The wiring is a real mess. There must be... it's difficult to it's one sentence, man. There must be that most of 100 pot rivets in it.
I understand.
Please go and get someone who knows what it takes to build a rally car and knows how to build one to give you some input and help. I'm really sorry to be saying this, but you're putting a lot of time and money into this build, and I think you could do with someone to guide you through it. I am sorry. Please don't take it the wrong way. That's the end of that one. So
right, okay. So
sorry about my reading it.
The first part, the wiring, or this is never going to be a rally car. I have had a lot of questions recently about what I'm going to do with the car, what it's eligible for, as in competition wise. My whole sort of the build is not to. Like I said at the beginning, or perhaps I did cut that bit out, but I don't want to mislead. I don't want to mislead anybody on what this car is. As in, I get the impression a lot of people think that it's a fully blown stage rally car that I'm going to build and go out and go race competitively in the forest or on tarmac. It's not. It's like a dream project. So it's like my ideal sort of rally car that I can use for the track, the road, for shows, and it will be eligible for some competition, but we can go into it in a little bit with the regs on the Blue Book and what will disqualify us essentially from taking it on the stages. Unfortunately there's no really cheap way of building a fully blown WRC car, and this is kind of the whole point of the build, and it's kind of what it's based around, is getting around some of the expensive aspects of it and just sort of putting something together that kind of represents it, but it's obviously not a WRC car. So that's the first part of his comment. The wiring is still a mess. It still needs to be finished. The car is not finished. So the wiring that I've installed myself works, and I'm very confident it's put in at a high standard. Everything's insulated and it was put in properly. So in that regard, I'm happy. The loom itself has been cut a lot, but all the wires that have been removed obviously aren't powered now. So safety-wise, I can't really see a problem. It still needs tidying up. And the pot rivets, I think, is referring to the footplate.
Okay.
Again, it was free material, so he's saying I'm spending a lot of money. I'm really not. I'm spending a lot of time, granted, but like I said just now, I kind of under-engineer to find the limit, and then if I need to upgrade anything, I will. So how did his comment end?
He was being firm but fair, I think, with his comment, and
completely.
just saying, please don't take it the wrong way. We don't take it the wrong way. In fact, Trevor, I'll give you a little, there you go, thumbs up light for that comment.
And I appreciate all the comments he's made previously as well. Obviously, I'm doing a lot. I'm trying to fly through it. There's a lot, like thousands of decisions and points I need to sort of make on the fly. So, like any little thing with the electrical cut off or anything like that, I might overlook. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just jump in here and sort of say, like, I've known you for a long time. It's not your first car you've built. I don't know. There may be a few people to think you're just sort of delving into this from nothing. You have built cars, albeit nothing like as big an undertaking, a project as this, because this is like I would have never got anywhere near to what you've done here. So
Yeah.
but you've built cars, you've looked after rally cars, you've been at the start and end of rally cars, stage car builds, and you know what it takes to build a car for gravel.
And I will jump in on that as well. Is this is not like we've worked together for years as well, and we've built cars for customers, and this isn't like your traditional rally car. It's not like doing everything by the book. It's a completely custom project, and that's kind of why I enjoy it. I have the freedom to do it as I want because it's for me.
Yeah.
If I was building this car for a customer, I wouldn't do it this way. I wouldn't, because I'm happy with certain things being a certain way. I would never do it for a paying customer, so you have to bear that in mind as well.
Yeah.
Sorry,
good point.
Carry on.
Good point. Yeah, no, that's it. So I have every confidence that you'll probably put it on a track or its first proper test. Something will probably fall off it, but I'm pretty confident the vast majority of it will stay together.
Yeah.
Because I know what your work's like. So worth bearing that in mind. Okay, we're back on the footrest again. So this is from Max Rivers. Just a thought for the footrest. Being a co-driver myself, I put a lot of pressure and force through my footrest, and actually bent an aluminium one on hard braking. There may be a different seat setup, etc., but not entirely sure that what I'm assuming to be plastic or plexiglass will hold up. ? May also put a large amount of strain on the pop rivets. Just food for thought. Can't wait to see this thing finish. I don't know if you want to go back on the footrest again, or if you kind of answered that in the previous one.
I covered it, but I think if you're putting, I mean, you've been in a competition car more than I have, but if you're putting that much force on the footrest, you're not really fastened into your seat properly, surely, unless it's just set up incorrectly, because I think the harness is kind of made to hold you in the car, and the footrest is essentially, under braking, but not huge. It depends how thick the aluminium is as well.
Yeah, sure.
It's there's so many factors involved, but the footrest is not a big deal to me. If it breaks, it breaks, and I have literally built it for nothing.
And
so
it costs you about £4.
Yeah,
so it's
less than that.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So that's there is a reply to that. I'm going to run through that briefly. Someone broken suave came to the comments to say exactly the same thing. Even my amateur experience tells me an entire foot plate setup will break within a few stages. This part is as high stress as a brake pedal. I wouldn't want a plexiglass brake pedal. I think we just kind of heard your thoughts on that. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
And it's not going to be on a stage rally anyway. So.
Okay, that's it. So you can probably chuck anyone that's in the passenger seat out if they're putting their foot through your...
It's just to stop people putting their foot anywhere near anything important like the water lines or any electrics or anything like that. It's just a designated place. And to be honest, the seat is mounted so far back, they're not even going to have a chance to put much pressure on it.
Happy days. Okay. Solas Piro says, been loving the build so far. Just a small pet peeve. I'm pretty sure you're not meant to use sandpaper to clean the tip of a soldering iron because it can cause damage to the protective coating it has on it. I recommend using a wet cloth or something like that to get off the solder. Anyway, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Keep it up. Looking forward to seeing this on the dirt one day.
It's an interesting comment. I probably agree. You're probably right. I don't know a lot about cleaning soldering irons, so I'm just going to continue using sandpaper. Sorry.
You can. I mean, he's probably got a point. You can get with the things that hold your soldering iron.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get those little sort of beige-coloured grippy pads.
Right.
I think you are meant to use them, but
right.
So there you go.
80 grit is good for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yoshioka's just giving you some more support there. And again, actually on a comment just after that, just the whole idea to blend the two cars makes the whole project way more complex and interesting. I wonder how you came on the idea and decided to go for it despite the increased difficulties. So that's a good question. Especially perhaps for people who maybe don't know why you chose those cars, so maybe just go back to the basics of why you're using these two. And
Well, for a while I wasn't doing a lot with cars. So in I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I wasn't really doing much with cars. fully lose interest, but I wasn't doing anything hands-on. And when the WRC brought out their sort of crazy aero car, I think in 2017 or 18, it was just like inspired me instantly. It was like rallying excites me again, visually, like the almost back to the Group B sort of like crazy looking aero. So then I thought, okay, if I do another project, I want to build something that doesn't look normal or you won't have seen before. And then I was thinking, okay, I want it to be a small hatchback. It needs to be four-wheel drive. And how can I build it that's in a cost-effective way, that's manageable, and not have a lot of equipment? So this is what it boils down to, is I am building this car in a marquee, quite literally. So I don't have like jigs and milling machines and lathes and all the stuff to make the componentry that you'd need to do it in the way that a WRC car would be built. So I decided the easiest way, even though it seems like it's harder, it's actually easier to do it the way that I've done, where I've kept the floor pan of the Subaru and basically put the hatchback body shell on top. I've gone over this many times, but it's basically to retain all of the Subaru geometry, there be it being a shorter wheelbase, so the wheelbase has been reduced by 80 millimeters. So everything bolts on, and it's all. I know the setup works, because the engine bay is Subaru as well. For people that don't know, basically the whole floor pan and the engine bay is Subaru, so everything just bolts on, and I can buy parts, I can buy coilovers for it, I can buy all the suspension components, and I know they just fit and they're exactly correct in alignment. So that is a no-brainer to me, because the other way is to basically build subframes, and all the strength in the car has to be redone perfectly, like a Fiesta WRC R5, which is like how many hundreds of thousands of pounds,
quarter million euros or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I think you actually mentioned in one of your videos that you didn't necessarily want the car to sound like a Subaru either. That's when you were building part of the exhaust system, I think it was.
Yeah.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't want that boxer kind of bark, so you want to take some of that away, which I thought was really interesting. I didn't know that until I literally watched that.
Yeah, I want it to be like intriguing, because again, part of this project is like marketing for our clothing brand, Blendline Apparel. So it's going to be a marketing tool at car shows and things like that, and I want it to be something that people get excited to walk up to and go wondering what it is and what's under the bonnet, because that's the reason why I don't have top mount intercooler on the engine, because as far as the geometry and layout goes for the engine bay, it's been a real nightmare having a front mounted intercooler, because it means like all the cooling package has to go in the back, and essentially the reason for that is I don't want the Subaru scoop in the bonnet giving it away, so I can keep the Subaru bonnet, but it's causing a lot more drama. But yeah. So the exhaust is a equal length header, which takes away the like traditional burble of a Subaru. So it will just sound like a normal sort of race car. Yeah,
cool, excellent. So that's good. So moving on, we've got another comment. I'll read a couple of the quick ones that just say, "Love the cage fit for visibility." That was episode 10, so that was a really early episode that someone was looking at there. So yeah, you must have got the cage in, and I think you were talking about having best visibility around the A pillar and peripheral vision.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone has said, "All that without sandblasting, your patience is legend." I think some of these are actually the same people who are kind of going through the.
I think they've gone back.
Going through, which is cool. We've seen quite a bit of that, and then. Well, someone, again, same person, has actually said, while official teams work in sterile labs, you just tear the engine down on the grass. This is just awesome. I suppose there was probably a bit of that going on, but it's a strip down, so it doesn't matter so much at that stage.
No, not at all. The engine was completely rebuilt from the ground up, so I could have done it anywhere, really. No bother.
Yeah, no, 100%. Someone's asked, this is now out of date, but when's the next video? Your video schedules have kind of changed. You were doing it every Wednesday. Now you're doing it in a sort of a more ad hoc basis, should we say?
Yeah, I mean, it got a bit too much, really, because I was lining them up for, like, every week. So at one point when I had a lot of things to film and where I could progress really fast visually, I had them, like, queued up. So I was, like, running a month in a behind on the videos. But then I kind of caught up, and now especially it's more time, like, waiting for parts and figuring things out, and it's hard to get one done every week. But so far it's kind of been roughly every sort of 7 days we get one out. But
yeah, no, good stuff. Tibor Garage says nice, can't wait for the first ignition. Yeah, there's quite a lot to run along with that theme.
yeah.
And now a gentleman who's, he later goes on to say he works with fluid dynamics for a living, so I actually thought, yeah, let's include this because that's quite a relevant comment. So we're talking about the radiator. You mentioned, I want to have the fan as close to the radiator as possible. I think you mentioned that in one of your videos.
Yeah.
He says, no, please no. I do fluid dynamics for a living. When you use a ventilator to suck the air out, what you really do is create a zone of lower pressure behind the radiator. If you use the ventilator too close, this under pressure will be effective only in the area covered by the ventilator, which is quite small. If you place it at a distance with a shroud covering the whole radiator, you will extend the effect of the ventilator almost to the whole radiator, improving heat exchange significantly.
Yeah, no, he makes a good point, but also it covers the majority of the radiator, certainly top to bottom, and I kind of have done that where hopefully this green screen will work and I can actually put imagery that's relevant to what we're talking about, so it kind of gives you a visual idea as well. But the area surrounding the fan is actually, like, blocked off around the side of the radiator, and there are blanking plates on the sides, so it's actually going to draw all of the air that's behind it through and out. And actually I wanted to get as much draw as I could through the car, and that's mainly for if I'm stationary, you know, if you're waiting to go on track or even if you're sat in traffic, it's actually pulling air into the car, whereas if it was further away there'd be less drag and it would be more inclined to overheat when you're not moving, and that's traditionally when your car gets hot. When you're moving at speed, the ducts on the sides will do their job and cool the car. So I'm not gonna, if it's his job, then I'm not gonna argue with him. But I'm very happy with the draw I have currently.
Yeah, no, I mean, temperatures are a massive thing to consider, especially when you've got, you're not rear engine, but all the cooling is in the rear.
Yeah.
So that's something obviously major to consider. There's a lot of temperature gets built up in a competition car or any kind of circuit car.
Yeah.
And like you just said, there's also a lot of waiting around pre going on track in the assembly area or in a paddock, where you can you sat there. You don't want to switch the car off, but you can sometimes see the needles just creeping a little bit higher. So it's always worth bearing in mind not only the speed stuff but also the stationary stuff as well.
Definitely.
And obviously the fans play a big part in that. Let me see. He's also gone on to say, this is in, I believe, yes, a different video. You give plenty of space. I hope this isn't the same. No, it's not the same question. It's relating to something slightly different. You give plenty of space for the air to flow to the intercooler, but not much for it to flow out behind it. That will significantly reduce effective airflow. You could either move the heat exchanger a little forward or install a few little fans behind it. It should make quite a difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There is quite a bit of space behind it. There's probably 100 mil between the intercooler and the engine block. So
yeah,
I don't see there being a massive problem. The engine block will be cooled a lot more than it would normally on a Subaru Impreza because the radiator is not in the way, which is normally blocked out with debris from the road. And yeah, I don't think that's going to be a particular problem. And obviously when you're on boost and you need the air nice and cool, it's going to be a lot of cold air will be hitting the front of the car, hopefully.
Yeah, okay.
So,
no, that's a good point.
But no, it's another good point.
Yeah.
That's worth noting, though.
Worth noting, you can always use some the leaf blowers that they use in British touring cars. Just a couple of leaf blowers either side when you're on in the paddock. That will keep it cool until you go out. One option. Martin Gallo, great job, man. Congrats. Thanks very much for that. Andrew Cole has said, instant watch when you pop up in my feed. More excited about your progress videos than anything else I'm watching at the moment. Super.
Just to find some other things to watch.
Someone has said, won't you be competing in rallies with the car? Cool. So rally cars, I'm sure a lot of people watching this know this, but there's a book which is about that thick. It's now all online because Motorsport UK trying to save money. But it's all split into drag racing, sprint racing, circuit racing, karting, and then rallying. Rallying's a really big section. You've probably read it about 1,000 times. I think I've probably read it about 1,000 times. He probably has read it 1,000 times, but maybe doesn't realise it. In different sections, it refers to all the technical stuff that you need in a rally car when you're considering building it. Everything you're going to need. That's what the scrutineers use. It's called a yearbook. It's the blue book. It's like the Bible, so you kind of have to stick to it. There's a lot of things in this car, as it's developed, that maybe you've realised the route you want to go down because it's your car. You've decided the way you want to go. Would you say it's moved away a little bit from rallying, stage rallying, and moved perhaps towards different disciplines? Yes.
The fundamental issue is the chassis, as it's made from two cars. So that's the sort of the biggest concern, really. That's basically why. I want to be completely honest with what it is, and I don't want to try and take advantage of anybody and not be completely honest with what it is. So that being said, if you read the blue book, it's not eligible for stage rally. However, it would be an open class in things like hill climb. So there is chance to race it competitively. But again, it's not really something I desire and want to pursue in that car particularly. Unfortunately, sorry to break it to you guys, but it's probably not going to be on a rally stage.
On a rally stage, but you can expect to probably see it if things go to plan on track, potentially in a track day environment, and hopefully, as you've just mentioned. Hill climb and sprint racing, the rules are quite a lot different. As long as the car you plan on having a full MOT on the car. You're building it around being a road car just as much as a competition car. That's kind of the beauty of what you're building. As long as we can do that, then it can fit into a category within hill climb. Might not be the fastest thing in its class because it will be in such a wide open class. There could be anything in it, but that's not necessarily the point. The point is just getting out and and using the thing.
The whole point is just letting people enjoy it. Just to see it at shows and hopefully it'd be quite exciting to see and hear and actually get up close and personal with. And if it it's to inspire people to get into rallying essentially. It's just I don't know how to sort of answer it any other way.
No,
it's not my intention. My intention for the build was not to build a competition car to go racing in. Essentially,
not on a gravel stage rally anyway.
No, that'd be pretty stupid.
I think the aero would not last too long, but that's not its intended use.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that sort of answered that. If you take it to a show and you take it to a car-specific show, you're going to take it to a Subaru show or a Peugeot show? Because I think they'd probably throw a rock at it at a Subaru show.
None of them would have me.
No, okay.
I think it has to be like a Peugeot show and just not tell them it's a Subaru.
MI16 turbo, that's all it is. Boss.
No, in all honesty, I do want to go to some British shows when it is done. So you guys will have a chance to see it. And Pugfest will probably be one of them. Which is that's if they'll have me. MI16 turbo. That's all you need now. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look. Right, Mark MTB Wales says, do you have a full-time job as well as doing this build? How many hours have you put in so far? Been watching from the start, so really looking forward to seeing it complete. Cheers, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, I work full time alongside this, so yeah, I only have my spare time to build it. And what was the other hours?
Yeah.
God. I'm about 2.2k, so 2,200 hours roughly. Now.
No.
And that's just the build, so that's not editing videos, which is about 5 hours an episode.
Or thinking about it, or doing drawings.
Yeah, or driving prop shafts to wherever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for tuning in and watching all this time. Somebody else has asked, actually a very similar question, was his two-parted question. His first part was, how many hours have we put in so far? Just asked that one, thanks. That was Chris Smith. He's also gone on to ask quite a specific question. Don't know if you know him or not. When are we going to play some basketball?
The summer's over, so
there you go.
No time soon, Chris. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
No, I know Chris.
And the fact that he's got his head in
basketball.
a Peugeot/Subaru most of the time as well.
Yeah.
And then I had a question come in fairly recently, 4 days ago. It is from sunny Finland, I believe. It's from a gentleman called Eero Siponen. I actually had a look at your channel, and you do a bit of running yourself. Kudos to that. I've been wondering what you're going to do with the car once it's finished. Are you going to participate in some rallies, or is this going to be just a show car? What classification or class is this prepared for? Is it an R-Light car or a special saloon car? Keep up the good work with the videos. They are really entertaining, and keep up the motivation for my own car projects. Yeah, okay, certain things maybe, sorry, we just answered in a previous question.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's mentioning lots of different types of car class there. Probably not rally classes, as you just surmised, but...
Yeah, well, we are building to MSUK, as in the safety side of it, and that's basically to allow us to hopefully compete one day, maybe, in some kind of competition. So there's things like the seat rails and the roll cage and everything is built to MSUK standards, which is a British motorsport standard, I take it.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So things like, that you will need for certain series, things like fire extinguishers, cut-offs as well, that's all done. There'll be certain things that need to fit in with a certain class, so that can always be looked at nearer to the time. But ultimately I think to have it in a class which is probably quite open but limited to four-wheel drive, obviously it's turbocharged, so it will be multiplied by the 1.7 times rule, which is what happens with forced induction engines. So it will go up a class naturally, four-wheel drive, and then but then it's road legal, so that will make a difference as well. Well, hopefully it'll be road legal anyway.
It will be.
Yeah. Don't really understand that one. I think that was just a question about the music he used. Trevor Woods, we're back, Trevor. What do you intend to do with the car when you finish it? I don't think it's going to be a reliable build, but that's my only question. Can't wait to see it finished. Yeah, that's great.
On to the reliability side. Being a prototype car and a new build, it's kind of naive to think it's going to be reliable. Even like $1 million builds aren't reliable. So, it'd be a bit naive for me to think that I'm going to build the car and it's going to work well straight away. So, just bear that in mind, folks.
Yeah, I think we'll take a fairly sizable toolbox with us for the first time it's shaken down, but and maybe a couple of spare bits, but we'll keep an eye on it. P.S. Sorry, I'm just reading through this now. Okay, got a question for your up-and-coming Q&A. Do you plan to race this car? What kind of races will you enter? Will you be racing to governing body regulations? And if so, which? Is it WRC, FIA, etc.? Approximately when do you think... Okay, we'll ask... So most of that we've come across.
It, really.
So that's cool. Thanks, PS. The next part of this question, approximately when do you think you're going to have the build completed? I'm not picking on you for taking a while. I've been working on my build for 2 years and still have a few years to go. Nice work, keep at it. Big question.
I don't have the answer because a year ago I was saying 6 months and it's still not finished. So it's done when it's done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's cool. And Ashley Cox is saying, loving the build. He says, you have made me start building the same, but with the VW Polo. Good luck.
Nice.
Excellent. Wondering when you will where you will send the prop shaft to. Thanks, Ashley. Love to see the build in person. So where did you send the prop shaft?
Is he in the UK? I presume.
I can't click on his thing, but I'm going to say yes. Ashley Cox sounds
if
like
you're
a
in the UK,
British person.
or you can always internationally ship it.
Yeah.
There's a company which I've literally just used called BAR. I don't know if it's BAR or Bar Prop Shafts in Neath, Wales.
Down the valleys.
Down the valleys.
Down the valleys, tidy bat.
So you can find them easily on the internet. BAR Prop Shafts. Really nice blokes, and they're quick turnaround. They're going to ship it hopefully tomorrow.
Oh wow!
They've done the work. So
how long did that take?
like 3 or 4 days.
Oh wow! Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for 20 plus years, and shout out to Ali for recommending it. The company with his sort of drift days, I guess he's used them quite a bit. Yeah.
Cool. Have you? I guess you haven't seen yet what they've done, obviously, but you're aware of how they're doing it.
Yeah, I was. It's in, I think, the most recent video. I've been specific to where the shortening has to take place, so I can retain the centre mount in the Subaru original location, and they obviously put it on lathe and they do it properly and they balance it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Really do that.
It got put in spam. Sorry, Niall, your comment got put in spam.
Rightfully so.
And now I've got to hang on. Let me take it out of spam, and I've just lost it now. There we go. He asks. Niall Evans asks, will you be starting a Renault Clio 182 project once the 206 WRX build is finished?
What sort of project? Is he not specific?
He's not specific. It's quite it's almost like he knows something that we don't, or something, or he knows something I don't.
Thank you for watching. That's it for this Q&A. We'll probably do another one because I'll be still building the car in a year's time.
Will that be episode 240 by this rule of multiplication?
Can't do maths very well.
Yeah, I think it will. Cool. See you in a couple of years.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh yeah, you now do a podcast.
Oh yeah.
Promote that.
There's the Gobbledy Clutch podcast, which you can find on all major podcast platforms. Check it out. Gobbledy Clutch. That's myself and my podcast co-host Sean Ellis. When this lad gets his car finished, we will have him on to talk about it as well in some detail when he's actually driven it. We can talk about the driving of that. Tune in to the podcast. Thanks very much.
And check out blendline.co.uk for some merch.
We'll put
it there. On the website we have our merch, and also you write a blog quite regularly, which is always a good read, so check that out as well if you want some bedtime reading. And like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you
next time. Off the tongue, nice.
Peugeot or Perjury?
Perjury. I think, or is that too much like perjury?
Perjury.
I don't know.
I like Perjury.
Okay, we'll go with that.